Hello. Thank you all for joining us here today to learn more about the tech ecosystem in Pittsburgh. My name is Kyle Chintalopoli. I'm the Vice President for Business and Economic Development at the Pittsburgh Regional Alliance, which is the economic development organization for the 10-county Southwest Pennsylvania region. I'll be joined today by my colleague, Camille Johnlin, as we walk you through the presentation that we've prepared for you. Before we get started, we have opened the chat feature and encourage everyone to introduce yourself and interact with each other through that feature. And then we've also opened that and the Q&A feature for any questions you might have for us, and we'll address as many as we can at the end of our presentation. So Pittsburgh is an iconic city. There are companies, startups, universities, and more, all meeting the world's biggest challenges and building a next generation economy right here. We're open to innovative companies who are excited about growth and entrepreneurs who want to have an impact and build something remarkable. Today, we plan to provide you with an overview of what's happening in Pittsburgh and the amenities available in our region, how tech and innovation are really shaping our economy and cutting across a number of high growth sectors, the research powerhouses and talent that support it all, and then finish our presentation with a brief look at the geographic benefits of locating here and the real estate assets in our market to support you. And then we'll close out the session, as I said, by taking some questions from all of you. The greater Pittsburgh region is made up of 10 counties with a total population of 2.6 million people. Our regional economy, as measured by gross regional product, is $139 billion. And we offer a high quality of life at an accessible price point with a median home price of $155,000. And a couple of numbers we wanted to call out specifically and we'll unpack a little more in the presentation, but they weren't highlighting now in any conversation about our tech ecosystem. Or over the past 10 years, we've received $7.2 billion in investment in over 600 startups and over $10 million in academic research across the same time period. In Pittsburgh, you will be part of a leading innovation hub and an emerging global startup ecosystem, which is a top city for STEM professionals and a growth market for creative class. We were recently named the top emerging life sciences hub in North America by C.B. Richard Ellis. Our millennial population of 490,000 is actually growing at a faster pace than the national average at 12.8%. We have the 5th largest share of college-educated millennials in the country. There's truly something happening in Pittsburgh, and others are taking notice. As evidenced by headlines and leading publications and rankings that note how cool a place this is, as well as a great place to find a job, start a business, buy a home, and build a life where you not only enjoy your work, but love your life outside of it. Here, you will find a striking blend of architecture, set among abundant natural beauty with our 3 inviting rivers, rolling highlands, and verdant forests never far away. A burgeoning food scene that is uniquely authentic to this place and has options that satisfy just about every appetite. Performing and visual arts venues that rival any major city, yet remain incredibly accessible. And a sports culture that is renowned the world over. Now, I'll turn things over to Camille so that she can speak to you about our region's dynamic economy and the tech ecosystem that we have here and that is powering it all. Camille?
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. And thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Happy St. Patrick's Day. As a reminder, you are welcome to use the Q&A feature for any questions that we'll get to at the end, or the chat as well. And we encourage you to introduce yourself so we can see who all is joining us today. So as for Pittsburgh's economic vision, as Kyle said, we have a dynamic economy that is driven by deep tech, research-driven companies that are propelling our regional economy forward. And today we'll focus on the tech ecosystem, which really does touch on all of these industries here not just in the obvious, tech, AI, AV robotics, but really across all of these thriving industries. So first, we'll talk about the innovation investment in the Pittsburgh region. So just in the past decade, there's been $7.2 billion invested in nearly 600 companies, with $10 billion in university research, 113 company exits with a total valuation of $14.7 billion. And this innovation investment has been growing rapidly over time. Just in the past year, nearly $1 billion, I think it's $993 million were invested in 171 unique Pittsburgh technology companies. Pittsburgh also was ranked by Telstra Ventures as being in the top 10 for venture capital investment growth in 2020, as well as in the top 10 for EdTech VC growth. And if we take a look at this next slide here, we can see the over 300 venture capital firms from around the world that are investing in Pittsburgh companies. So venture capital firms, angel groups, and strategic investors. I know there's a lot on this slide, but if you can see some of those bolded companies, those are the 42 firms that have made their first investments in the Pittsburgh region in 2020. So Pittsburgh also has a really supportive ecosystem for entrepreneurs, and that is not only due to that growing venture capital investment in the tech ecosystem, but also due to the infrastructure, the organizations that really support a thriving environment for entrepreneurs, for founders. So just to call out a few of these, and this is really not an exhaustive list here, this is just to get started. Innovation Works is one of the largest seed stage accelerators in the US. It has 3 accelerator programs: Alpha Lab for software startups, Alpha Lab Gear for hardware startups, and the new Alpha Lab Health for life sciences and healthcare innovation startups. I'll mention just a few others. 412 Venture Fund and Black Tech Nation Ventures were both founded just last year, I believe, or very recently, to better support underrepresented entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds. One Valley, formerly known as GSV Labs, has also just entered the Pittsburgh ecosystem that will really do a lot to expand the network to a global network for supports for entrepreneurs here. Other types of organizations supporting the tech ecosystem that aren't listed here are PART, the Partnership to Advance Responsible Technology. We have PGH AI, and Build 412 is really a great organization to connect professionals, tech professionals across Pittsburgh. So here you can see that not only do we have a supportive environment for startups, but a huge number of tech enterprises. So the world's most innovative tech companies are investing in Pittsburgh. This map is a map of Pittsburgh courtesy of Innovate PGH and the Pittsburgh Innovation District, which is a close partner of ours. The Innovate PGH is a public-private partnership that's built to accelerate Pittsburgh's status as a global innovation hub. And we'll talk a little bit more about the clusters you're seeing of all of these tech companies here. But what I would like to call out is that you'll see a number of West Coast headquartered tech companies, such as Microsoft or Yelp, Google, that have set up offices in Pittsburgh as somewhat of research outposts so that they can leverage the strengths of the technological innovations, the talent coming out of the universities, the research expertise, and really be a part of the tech ecosystem in Pittsburgh. So with that, we're going to turn over and start talking about the high growth sectors in Pittsburgh. We're going to go through 5 of these sectors, but what I would like to mention at first is that AI is really a strong sector in Pittsburgh, artificial intelligence, and it is integrated in all of these sectors. We won't call it out specifically, but I know that Pittsburgh is known for AI, and it really does form a foundation for the rest of these innovative sectors. So first, we're going to start out with robotics and autonomous vehicles, which I think is the tech sector that Pittsburgh is best known for. And there are over 100 robotics companies in the Pittsburgh region. This is according to the Pittsburgh Robotics Network, which is a really important organization that is strengthening the whole robotics ecosystem here. And the PRN has also named Pittsburgh a top 3 robotics hub. There have been 85 company expansions and 2,900 jobs created in the past decade, with today totaling about 4,200 total jobs in the industry. Also, 294 patents have been awarded for robotics-based innovation just in the 2015 to 2018 range. And that, along with 20 plus academic and private research centers, really makes the robotics and autonomous vehicle R&D really central to our ecosystem. So in terms of autonomous vehicles, that's a really important component of the Pittsburgh robotics ecosystem. Here you can see pictured an Argo AI self-driving test vehicle. And it's pretty exciting to be able to walk around Pittsburgh and see some of these self-driving vehicles in motion around the city. We're going to talk a lot more about Carnegie Mellon University later on, but that is really the anchor of the robotics ecosystem and is a big part of a lot of those academic and private research centers. A few other things I'd like to mention for robotics are that over half of the investments last year in Pittsburgh's tech ecosystem, that $1 billion that I mentioned, over half are in robotics. And in addition to that, a lot of these robotics companies are clustered in and around what we call Robotics Row, which is an area in the Strip District and Florenceville neighborhoods of Pittsburgh, where a lot of these robotics and autonomous systems and AI companies are located. With that, we'll turn to life sciences sector here. As Kyle, I think, mentioned previously, last year, CBRE named Pittsburgh the #1 emerging life sciences ecosystem in the US. And this really shows the growth that has happened in our life sciences sector. The University of Pittsburgh is the anchor to this sector, and we'll again go into more detail about Pitt later on. But in the Pittsburgh region, there are over 150 life sciences companies. These have been historically concentrated in medical devices, which still holds true today, as well as a growing number of companies in therapeutics, in diagnostics, and healthcare IT. Between 2008 and 2018, there were 237 company expansions with $4 billion in capital investment. Over 1,000 patents were awarded in healthcare and life sciences in the 5-year period between 2013 and 2018. And we are fortunate to have Life Sciences Pennsylvania here in Pittsburgh, which is an 800 plus member organization that supports and advocates for a business and policy climate to best support life sciences companies in Pennsylvania. And our Pittsburgh life sciences and healthcare sector is really held down by the 2 hospital systems that are headquartered here, and these are the region's largest employers. These hospital systems are a big part of driving the commercialization of a lot of these innovations. So first is the Allegheny Health Network with insurer Highmark Health. AHN is making $1 billion investment in hospital expansions, including the flagship cancer center that is on the north side of Pittsburgh, just north of downtown. The other hospital system is UPMC, the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center, that is doing a lot of work in the healthcare innovation space. UPMC Enterprises is the commercialization arm of UPMC that is investing $1 billion between 2020 and 2024 to commercialize new drugs, diagnostics, and devices. UPMC in general is also investing $2 billion in 3 new specialty hospitals in vision rehabilitation, heart transplantation, and cancer treatment. There's a lot of work coming out of these hospital systems. Next, we'll move into advanced manufacturing. So, you may know about Pittsburgh that manufacturing has a significant heritage here. There are Still today, 2,800 manufacturing establishments with a 14.6 billion gross regional product and 93,000 sector employment. So this, there's a lot of activity happening in manufacturing, and it is really another sector that is innovating in the Pittsburgh region. For example, Catalyst Connection is a great organization that is supporting smaller manufacturers in the region to provide them training and resources to have more innovative processes in what they do. And then in the additive manufacturing space, Neighborhood 91 is a new and really exciting initiative. It is the first full ecosystem development tailored to the additive manufacturing supply chain. It's located next to the Pittsburgh International Airport, and you'll see a lot of 3D printing innovation coming out of that initiative. So fourth, we'll talk about fintech and cybersecurity. Pittsburgh is known as having a huge number of banks in downtown, with overall across the region, 3,600 plus finance and insurance establishments, a 16.7 billion gross regional product, and over 63,000 sector employment. But this extends certainly far beyond banking, finance, and insurance establishments to a number of fintech companies. For example, Pineapple Payments was founded in Pittsburgh. Numo is a fintech incubator and accelerator that is supporting fintech startups here. And on the other side of this is that there are about 40 cybersecurity firms, and cybersecurity really is a focus in the R&D side, with our R&D coming out of the universities and academic institutions here. So the Pittsburgh Technical College, for example, is recognized as a National Center of Academic Excellence in Cyber Defense. There are institutes at Pitt and CMU as well, such as CERT at CMU, Pitt Cyber, that regularly contract with the FBI, with the Department of Defense, and the Department of Energy. And these are all really innovative in the fintech and cybersecurity space. So finally, for our last tech ecosystem that we'll talk about today is clean tech and sustainability. There are 73 clean tech companies in the Pittsburgh region, with about 20,000 plus clean energy jobs as of the end of 2019. These are really concentrated in energy efficiency jobs and renewable energy jobs. Across the state of Pennsylvania, there is significant job growth in the clean energy space, with a 9.6% job growth since 2017. And then focusing back in on Pittsburgh, there are 346 LEED certified projects. And significantly, Pittsburgh is a founding member of the 2030 District Network, which, if you're unfamiliar with it, is a network of cities in the US that are committed to transitioning to low carbon. This is led by the Green Building Alliance here in Pittsburgh, and 556 buildings have committed to 50% reduction of energy use locally. Pittsburgh is also a UN Center of Excellence on High Performance Buildings, and the second city to commit to the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So now that you have a background on all of these sectors in our tech ecosystem, I'm going to give you some examples of recent investments to give you a more concrete idea of what this looks like in practice. So companies are capitalizing on Pittsburgh as a leader in the creative application of technology and innovation, which is shaping the future, positively impacting the world. We like to include and beyond because of the space tech presence here, such as Astrobotic. But in terms of other big tech investments, Duolingo is headquartered here. They were Pittsburgh's first unicorn. Amazon Alexa offices, Facebook Reality Labs working in augmented and virtual reality, Argo AI, the autonomous vehicle company I spoke about, and Marinus Analytics, which is one of 3 finalists in the IBM Watson AI X Prize competition. Marinus is the last US company actually in that competition as well. They are working on facial recognition technology to combat sex trafficking So some really impactful work there. They're also founded by women, led by women, and definitely a company to keep paying attention to. So I'll talk through three big investments in Pittsburgh's tech sector. First, Gridwise was founded in 2016 by Ryan Green. It is an app-based platform to increase efficiency and earnings for rideshare and delivery drivers. And the founder actually began this idea by crowdsourcing from rideshare and delivery drivers, asking, what are some of the inefficiencies you're experiencing? What challenges do you face, and how can we, make your work easier and more efficient? And so this is a really popular platform. In February 2020, Gridwise closed a $3.3 million funding round in order to expand from 41 US cities to having a nationwide presence in October 2020. And Gridwise has a number of team members who are graduates of Carnegie Mellon University. They're really close ties there. They're also located in the robotics row area that I spoke about earlier. Next, we'll talk about Philips Respironics. So Respironics was founded in 1976 in Pittsburgh, and they are a medical device company known for introducing the first CPAP machine. In 2007, Respironics was acquired by Philips and became the headquarters for Philips Sleep and Respiratory Care. So Philips Sleep and Respiratory Care employs over 1,700 people today. And in 2018, they broke ground on a new 200,000 square foot headquarter facility in Pittsburgh's Bakery Square neighborhood, which, if you're unfamiliar with Bakery Square, is a really exciting area that is expanding as a tech hub. Philips will be located next to Google's office here, next to Carnegie Mellon offices. It's also quite close to the East Liberty neighborhood, where there is a lot of other tech companies, robotics companies doing work there. And then finally, Aurora has been in the news quite a lot recently. So Aurora was founded in 2017. It's an autonomous driving startup. In 2019, they raised $350 million in venture capital-led financing. And the reason they've been in the news so much lately is because Aurora acquired Uber's self-driving unit, Uber ATG, in December 2020, which pushed the valuation of the company to $10 billion. So right now, Aurora employs 600 people in Pittsburgh and is bringing a majority of Uber's 1,200 employee ATG team on board. Also of note here, Aurora has really deep connections with Carnegie Mellon, and they're also located in the Strip District in Robotics Row. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Kyle to talk about how Pittsburgh is an R&D powerhouse.
Thanks, Camille. Yeah, as Camille said, Pittsburgh has long been a powerhouse when it comes to research and development. And that's really because while few cities have just one tier 1 research university, we are fortunate enough to have two that are located within 1 square mile of each other. And that's the University of Pittsburgh and Carnegie Mellon University. We're even more fortunate that they work incredibly well together and complement one another's advantages. Here we have a few different research centers that are either jointly sat between both schools or initiatives of one or the other. The first being the Supercomputing Center, and this is a joint Carnegie Mellon and Pitt R&D Center. In June of last year, they received a $5 million grant from the NSF to build a revolutionary AI supercomputer that's called Neocortex. The National Robotics Engineering Center, this is a part of Carnegie Mellon's Robotics Institute. NREC develops and matures robotics technologies and solutions from concept to commercialization, and is really an outlet and partner of private industry to solve really deep technical problems that they really can't get solved anywhere else. Allows them to tap into not only the specialties and talent at NREC, but the broader CMU community. Then the Advanced Robotics Manufacturing Institute. I believe Camille mentioned this when she was talking about the other projects. This is located at Mill 19, which is the building that had the large solar array on it at the clean tech slide that you saw earlier. ARM was founded at Carnegie Mellon, but now they're their own independent nonprofit. They actively develop, demonstrate, and facilitate early adoption of emerging technologies. And this is to bolster productivity and adaptability for businesses of all sizes. Next, the Human Engineering Research Laboratory, better known as HURL. This is at Pitt, and they partner with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs to perform advanced engineering and clinical research and medical rehabilitation. This effort is led by Dr. Rory Cooper, who is really a rock star and well-known in the bioengineering field and is actually a veteran himself. The Immune Transplant and Therapy Center. This is a partnership between the University of Pittsburgh and UPMC, which is one of the two large hospital systems Camille mentioned before. They work on this together and really continue the historic work in immunotherapy and organ transplantation that has been happening in both institutions for over 40 years. And this focuses across 4 clinical areas: organ transplant, cancer, biology of aging, and chronic disease. And this center will actually be located in a new building that's being developed that you'll see later by Wexford Science and Technology. The McGowan Institute for Regenerative Medicine. This serves as a single base of operations for leading scientists and clinical faculty at Pitt that work across tissue engineering, cellular therapies, and artificial and biohybrid organ devices. So not only are they working on the development of those innovative clinical protocols, but also on the rapid commercial transfer of these regenerative medical technologies. The Scott Institute at Carnegie Mellon works to accelerate the transition to a sustainable, low carbon energy future. They do this by focusing on increasing the efficiency of how we use and deliver the energy that we already have, expanding the mix of energy sources that we can use, and then creating innovations across energy technologies, regulations, and policies. And then lastly, the Energy Grid Institute is located at the Energy Innovation Center in the Lower Hill District of the city. But this was created by Pitt to be the most advanced academic electric power utility scale research entity in the United States. And it's really structured to be an international solution center for the entire electric power industry. They do this by leveraging public and private partnerships so that they can develop solutions for a modern, sustainable, and reliable energy grid. So to highlight the University of Pittsburgh, they are an anchor, as Camille I think mentioned earlier, in the life sciences space. Nationally, they rank number 6 in NIH funding, and that came in 2019 at just under $550 million in NIH grants from over 1,000 different awards. Nationally as well, they're number 9 in life sciences and R&D expenditure at $863 million. And they have research specializations in immunization that date back to Dr. Jonas Salk and the development of the polio vaccine, transplantation, which dates back to Dr. Thomas Starzl when he joined Pitt about 40 years ago and really pioneered a lot of work in organ transplantation, and similarly, a long history in neuroscience. And importantly, Pitt has really ramped up their commercialization efforts and established the Innovation Institute, which provides funding and other types of support for Pitt innovators and technologies coming out of their school. We're also going to highlight Carnegie Mellon University, which is our anchor for computer science and sort of tech more broadly. They have the #1 computer science, graduate program in the United States. And as we mentioned a few weeks ago in a previous presentation, they're the birthplace of artificial intelligence in America from the 1950s, and still today have maintained that prominence. They have the #1 AI graduate program in the United States, as well as the first AI undergraduate program. And then the first robotics PhD program. For spend in R&D, they're #3 nationally at $141 million. And then Carnegie Mellon has a long history of partnering civic and corporate leaders to apply advanced technologies to address critical world challenges. And you see this today in initiatives and programs such as the Block Center for Technology and Science, the Metro 21 Smart Cities Institute, and the Army AI Task Force, which initially set up shop at Carnegie Mellon's NREC, the National Robotics Engineering Center that we mentioned previously. So in addition to fueling the R&D in our region, the universities are really foundational to the talent pool in the region that'll be here and allow your business to thrive. Sorry. So our existing labor force is 1.3 million people strong, and they are highly educated. Specific to tech talent, our tech talent pool is just over 44,400 workers. And this has increased by 18.2% over the past 5 years. In life sciences, we have over 6,800 people employed. We highlighted Carnegie Mellon and the University of Pittsburgh, but in total, there are 88 universities and post-secondary institutions in our 10-county region. So the total enrollment for those schools is 143,000, with 45,000 annual degrees coming out. Specific to tech, healthcare, life sciences, financial and business services, those three areas really comprise over 60% of the degrees that are awarded. And when you include West Virginia University and Penn State University that are just outside of our 10-county region, these numbers increase substantially. We're also fortunate with national tech training providers in Europe and Perscolis joining our ecosystem just this past year to really complement efforts of local organizations such as Work Hard Pittsburgh to grow our talent pipeline and increase access to opportunities in tech. Pittsburgh will provide you and your business with a strategic location for your operations. It'll place you within 500 miles of 45% of the US buying power and over 40% of the population of the United States and Canada. Now, that naturally incredible access and connectivity is further bolstered by our friends at the Pittsburgh International Airport. There, you have access to over 60 plus destinations by a dozen different carriers, and that includes key business hubs such as New York, LA, Boston, San Francisco, and Seattle, as well as international destinations such as Toronto, London, and Frankfurt. And before the pandemic, they were averaging 170 flights per weekday. And for those businesses that have an opportunity to do any sort of shipping or need critical supplies for your supply chain, the airport also has significant air cargo capacity. Important to note as well that they're in the midst of designing a significant investment for a terminal modernization project. Well, they'll be investing $1.1 billion, and that target completion for that is in 2023. Our location also provides you with peace of mind. As you can see on this map, Pittsburgh really minimizes the risk of operations disruptions from natural disasters. We have the real estate assets to support growth across our 10 counties. And this includes 11.5 million square feet of office space, 9.5 million square feet of industrial, and 2.5 million square feet of flex. Within our center city alone, there's over $12 billion in development projects underway or announced. Now, this includes development between our stadiums on the North Shore. The one that you see above there is a mixed-use project that Continental announced that'll sit between PNC Park and Heinz Field. Downtown, the development that's highlighted here is the Lower Hill District project, which is just adjacent to downtown, and will really be an extension of that across a 28-acre parcel between the arena, the historic Hill District, and the downtown to really reconnect the Hill District with our downtown business center. It'll be a mixed use with residential, office space, and entertainment. And the new headquarters for First National Bank has been announced to go in the tower, which you saw a rendering of earlier. The Strip District, which Camille mentioned before, this is known as Robotics Row. The development that's highlighted on the top is 3 Crossings by Oxford Development, which is a developer in our region who's incredibly active. On the south side, just beyond downtown, the development that's highlighted here is the High Line by McKnight. This is a combination of creative space, office space, and really public amenities to help reinvigorate a historic terminal building. In addition to that, there's a lot of additional space on the south side that kind of has a similar blend of those types of uses. And then in Oakland and Shadyside, there's a lot of investment happening in and around the universities. The two projects that are highlighted here at the top is the Innovation Research Tower from Walnut Capital, a local developer, and on the bottom is from Wexford Science and Technology between Center and Baum in Shadyside near the Hillman Cancer Institute from UPMC. And this is where the ITTC, which we mentioned earlier, will actually be located. Between these two projects, as well as some others in the pipeline, we'll be adding hundreds of thousands of square feet of new lab space to help bolster our life sciences sector. With that, I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. We'll open it up for questions. I've seen a few come across, and we'll engage sort of in a discussion around them. Great.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Kyle. I can take the first question that is about how Pittsburgh is extending its global reach. So that is in the tech training providers that Kyle mentioned, attracting more national tech training providers such as Europe and Perscolis, attracting tech ecosystem supports like One Valley that I talked about earlier. And Pittsburgh has increased the relationship with Startup Genome as well. Pittsburgh was named in the top 30 emerging startup ecosystems in the world, which is really exciting. And as you can see with all we've talked about today, really holds true. So yeah, I don't know, Kyle, if you have other comments on that or other questions you want to answer.
No, that's great, Camille. Thank you. Looking in through the chat, I see in terms of specific support that we can provide, in advancing both the economic future and sort of supporting businesses of kind of combining some of the back and forth Terry responded to, which is great. Thanks, Terry. Yeah, I think as well, our contact information was up there. Camille and I also put our LinkedIn profiles into the chat. Certainly, if you're interested, want to be more involved in conversations, that we can help to sort of bolster what folks know about us outside of the market. We're always looking for partners there. And then if it's about business opportunities specifically where your company's looking to grow, your company's looking to relocate, or establish an East Coast or North American hub, give us a call. That's really the core part of our work, is that business attraction, investment, and expansion efforts. We work closely with our partners at Innovation Works. Terry put her information there as well. There's different ways we can help support you, whether that's through supplementing and complementing efforts of a broker in a real estate search, helping you with talent and the talent team that we have. I know our colleague Linda Topolesky is on today, as well as our other colleague Allison Treaster, who really lead those efforts for us. Helping to facilitate conversations with partners at the state, local governments, county governments on what supports might be needed through those avenues, and then also helping with joint promotion, for the opportunities and the investments that are being made here. I think those are sort of the core areas, Camille, unless I forgot anything, but we can be helpful across any of those. And really that's, our prime purpose for being here. So please reach out to us, for that.
Yeah, and I see a question as well that, Kyle, I'll toss this one to you. Is Zoom still planning to open an office in Pittsburgh, and kind of more about Zoom?
Yeah, the short answer is yes. COVID has delayed their real estate search for certain, but they're still planning to open an office here. If you go to their website, and we can follow up with you specifically, Adam, but they're posting jobs in Pittsburgh. The announcement was an R&D center both here in Pittsburgh and in Phoenix. Between those two centers, Adam, they said that they were going to put 500 jobs. So we hope it's at least 200 in Pittsburgh, and our colleagues in Phoenix, with all due respect to them, we want, I think, more than the 250 that we can get and feel that Pittsburgh's well positioned for that. So we can share that with you and certainly follow up. But for everyone, yes, Zoom's still planning to come here. They've just delayed the research, but are hiring actively for positions that will ultimately be located in Pittsburgh. Great. I see Linda shared her information. So that's perfect. She's the right person to contact.
We have another question about if there will be a recording of today's session. And yes, there will be a recording. You'll receive a follow-up email with our contact information and that recording.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you everyone for spending some time with us today on your St. Patrick's Day. If you have any questions after this, please feel free to get in touch with myself or Camille. We're here to be a resource for you. And thank you again.
Actually, Kyle, can we show the following sessions?
You're right. I'm sorry.
Thank you. No worries. This is part of an informational series, as you may have seen, really showcasing all of Pittsburgh sectors. And so upcoming, we have 2 more sessions in this series. The next one will be, if you could go to the next slide, I think it's advanced manufacturing, right? Next week, that's with our colleague, Mike Henderson, the tech talent pool with Linda and Allison, whom Kyle mentioned as well. And if you'd like to learn more about the other sectors, if you missed the presentation there, you can find them all on the Pittsburgh Region Next is Now YouTube channel. So yeah, with that, thanks again so much for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.